Previously on the Tired Craftsman. Also fake blood warning. Kinda prefer to do things my own way.
You have refused our offers of fellowship. Therefore it is now the will of the Blade and Marker that you be eliminated. Measure twice. Cut once.
Currently on the Tired Craftsman. Hello and welcome to the Tired Craftsman channel. I'm your host, the Tired Craftsman. That's my co-host 22, and this is the first video of 2024. How about that? We did it. Another year down. Another year closer to the grave. I won't lie to you, I had expected to have achieved my goals of world domination by now, but maybe 2024 will be my year. But yeah, till then we have plenty of things to occupy our time, don't we? Like this board game my roommate and I have been working on for a while now. Hey, see all those figures there? I had to hand sculpt each and every one of those, then cast copies for both of us to play with. It was laborious. Both players get to form a team of 5 pieces, and currently I'm trying to make a full set of knights to use if one were so inclined. So tonight I'm going to show you how I make one of those, because I've been putting that off for way too long and I need to finish that set. So if that sounds good to you, let's make a knight figure. So we'll get started with some Super Sculpey. I prefer the gray one, but I can't find that in the store right now, so we gotta go with this sort of pink looking stuff. I kind of feel like this one is a bit softer, but I don't really know that for sure. But either way, we have to knead this up a bit before we can get it workable. And I hate this part. Kinda hurts my hands if I'm being honest. But hey, I never said I was a tough guy, I'm a bad guy, and those are not the same thing. There's a reason I'm building a robot army after all. I don't like getting hit. Like, have you ever been kicked in the shin before? That sucks. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Eventually the clay is soft enough to start sculpting, and sculpt we shall. But first I have one of my previous knights for height reference. I'd prefer all these guys to be roughly the same size, and that looks pretty good, so we can get started. So to begin the sculpting, we're going to employ an assortment of sculpting tools. I don't know much about these things, or what any of them are called. I usually operate on a purely see and need, fill and need mentality when it comes to art. For example, maybe this thing is meant for, like, blending 2 pieces of clay together or something, I don't really know. But it works for defining the edge of a helmet, and that's good enough for me. But of course, there's also nothing wrong with just working with your hands when necessary. You know, don't be afraid to just get in there with your fingers. I just realized how that sounded. Yeah, as you probably already guessed, I'm not the most gifted sculptor in the world, which is why I do cartoonish, squishy-looking knights, and really, I have no business teaching anyone about it, but the main point of this video is to show you the molding and casting parts, so we're just going to do our best on the sculpting section. I mean, I suppose I could have just made a mold of any existing thing, but I assume most of you are here because you want to make your own things, so I'll make my own thing along with you. And I don't even mind that yours will probably look better than mine, because I'm like super secure like that, you know, so don't even worry about me, I'm good. But if you take nothing else away from this part of the video, I hope you see that you really don't need to know what you're doing to make art. I briefly attended college for art, and that was a joke. Actually, you know, I should probably explain a bit of my my artistic vision for this piece. So, this really isn't based on anything historical. You know, I'm just kind of doing what I think would be cool details for a knight to have. You know, I'm sure they didn't really fight with capes, that was probably super impractical. And this helmet probably doesn't match the other pieces like the pauldrons and the vambraces, whatever. But it's fine, you know, because this is just my artistic rendering of a fantasy knight that didn't exist. Also, I'm fairly certain that, like, a hammer probably wasn't a nobleman's weapon, but I think his big flat head really goes well with the hammer, so he gets a hammer. Also, he's a bulkier boy, and smashing looks like it just comes naturally to him. For the helmet details, I actually had to work with him pretty close to my face because I have horrible vision, but I did it all with a needle-looking thing and an X-Acto knife. I probably could have gotten slightly cleaner details with a harder clay, but we work with what we got. And, are we finally done sculpting? Okay, yeah, we are, thank God. Okay, now we'll just toss him in the oven for about 15 minutes at 275 degrees Fahrenheit, standard baking procedure for Super Sculpey. And now we have a rigid figure for the mold that hopefully won't break if something goes wrong and we need to mold it a second time. But hey, let's not worry about things prematurely. Time to make a mold! I had a lot of cardboard lying around, so I'm going to use some of that to build a little box to pour the silicone into. I score some lines so it can bend easier at the corners, and I use some hot glue to seal it all up. I'm also gluing the figure to the base so it doesn't shift once the silicone is poured into it. I'm also trying to be really thorough with the hot glue. We don't want any of this leaking once we pour it. Now for the mold, I'm using a 2-part silicone called Moldstar 15 Slow. It is a platinum cure silicone with, I believe, a 40-minute pot life, which means you have 40 minutes to mix it and pour it, and a 4-hour cure time. To use it, you just pour equal parts A and B into 2 separate cups for measuring, or you could just eyeball it if you like to live dangerously like I do, then combine them and mix them very thoroughly lest it fail to cure. Now, better mold makers than me would probably use a pressure pot to evacuate the silicone and eliminate any potential bubbles in the mold. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those, so we're going to just do a high pour and hope for the best. The idea here being that any bubbles will pop on the long way down. As I understand it, it's best to pour in one spot, preferably not on the figure. Also, I'd like to mention that literally everything that I know about mold making I learned from watching Craftsman steady crafting videos. He has a ton of knowledge about mold making and casting, and he is a national treasure. And if this project goes poorly, then that's not a reflection on him, that's all me. Man, this takes a long time to fill up. Oh, also one important tip that'll definitely save you some headaches later. Whatever you're going to use for your mold, like sculpting wise, like the clay here, you want to use something that is sulfur free. That's why I use Super Sculpey, because it is sulfur free. Something about the sulfur will mess up the silicone and it won't cure right. So yeah, keep that in mind. And now with the pouring done, we just have to wait 4 hours for it to cure. What happened? It's fine. It's fine. Just give me 5 more minutes, okay? That's right. I did say all that to see if you were listening. That was a test. Yeah, it was. And you passed? Oh yeah, you listen better than any of the other bots. Absolutely. And your reward is you get the rest of the night off. So go enjoy it. Yes, you're very welcome. You made me very proud. Okay, so this looks pretty good. Feels cured. Everything seems to be in order, so let's get this out and hopefully we can do a successful cast of a figure. And by the grace of God, the sculpture survived, so that's pretty good, because, you never know if we'll need to make another mold at some point. Silicone doesn't last forever. Should last a while, though. Platinum is supposed to be pretty tear resistant, so that's good. But anyway, now it's finally time to cast this thing. And to do that, I'm going to be using Smoothcast 65D. Now, just like with the silicone, we're going to measure out equal parts A and B and mix them together. But with 65D, you have about a minute to mix it up really well and pour it, because it starts curing crazy fast. I'm again doing a high pour to hopefully reduce the bubbles. This thing is self-degassing, I believe, so that's good, but still, best not take a chance. And I usually squeeze the mold a bit to try to help any trapped air get out of it. And that's it. In about 15 minutes, we'll have a fully cured figure. Hopefully, anyway. Okay, moment of truth. I hope you're as anxious and anxiety-ridden as I am. And at a first glance, that actually looks pretty good. He sort of looks like a puffy marshmallow knight right now, but, nothing a quick paint job won't fix. But before that, I'm going to give the bottom a quick sanding so that he stands level, sturdy. He's a game piece, so he's got to stand upright.
Also, while you weren't looking, I sprayed him with some white primer. I know I'm the worst.
And now we can paint him up. First, I'm going to give him a coat of black acrylic because I'm going to give him a metallic paint job at the end, and metallic paint jobs look good over a base coat of black. Also, when I do the metallic paint, I'm going to be dry brushing it, so it's not going to get into all these little seams and stuff, so the black being in there will help each little segment pop a little bit more. Also, I want all of my knight pieces to have different colored capes, so he's going to get a blue one. So I did 2 coats of blue acrylic for that. And I did a little bit of black in some of the wrinkles of the cape, hopefully to create some shadows, in the wrinkles. I don't really know if that was the best technique to use. I'm not really a great painter either. I'm sure somebody knows, though. Let me know in the comments if there is a better way to do that. And finally, once the black coat was thoroughly dry, I took some Armored Metallic Platifex paint and just dry brushed it all over the armor part of the knight. Dry brushing is when you take some paint on the brush and you get most of it off, so there's just a little tiny bit left, and you can lightly go over things just to kind of highlight stuff. Was that a good explanation? I don't know, but you see what I'm doing. And finally, I just add a little bit of brown to the handle of his hammer. And with that, I think we're going to call this bad boy done. So yeah, if you're planning on making your own figure, hopefully this video gave you a couple tips that will be helpful for you. And hopefully you enjoyed watching. So yeah, that'll about do it for me. I have been the Tired Craftsman. You have been amazing. And remember, there's no wrong way to be creative.
So as you can see, the heretic continues to spread his false doctrine.
And our attempts to set him down the correct path have been fruitless.
Well, the Order does have protocols for this.
Of course, Craftsman Caecilius attempted to carry out the sentence with the application of his blade gauntlet, but it seems the heretic had built a quick-draw device from Taxi Driver.
Fool. The tool works best when used correctly. The blade must strike swiftly and silently under cover of darkness. I trust you both know this.
Yes, Artisan.
But it is not the way of the blade and marker to procrastinate on a project. The heretic must be eliminated immediately.
Trust me with this task. My blade is precise and consistent.
Your blade work is exemplary, Craftsman Marius. But for this assignment, I believe a less hands-on approach would be wiser. Something more subtle, elegant.
Understood.
Good. See that it's done. Measure twice!
Cut once.